don't want to be the beta. You don't want to be the beta.
All right, so we went down to these lanes and show you a clear distinctive of which one is to show you, which remind you, these guys, that we're saying these things not because we're technically fully on believing these concepts don't truly exist, but as being human beings in society that we make up these concepts to help fit in more into and make commonality inside these things to find our way, to find a little mating habits and stuff. Yeah. We include this, and I pro advance to that thing just like I do with the horoscopes, not zodiac signs, not horoscopes, zodiac signs to figure out yourself, whether it's Chinese or the European or maybe the life path. Things that help you figure out yourself. And the more you figure out yourself, the more you're able to find a mate and stuff. And I feel all these stuff compels to being a good human being or to make your way inside life and stuff. These alpha, beta, delta, omega, gamma, and sigma are things so you try to. And you might not fall in these. I may be hard to try to scope your categories and stuff inside it, but technically with guys, let's just don't let people choose what your class is and stuff. If these things concepts are human being concepts, so try to put yourself inside these concepts and find out which one's better for you instead of let somebody picking who's one for you. I personally myself, a lot of times I come off as I don't know. It's hard for me because I get a lot of attention. I get a lot of people who ask me for my. A lot of women ask me for my number and come. I'm only 5'9" to 9.5. Not even quite 5'10", so I'm barely in the average height range. But I get a lot of women to ask me for my number and stuff, and that's something that's not a lot of guys are used to and put them up to. And I fought a lot during my school, so I didn't really start paying attention to women until I mean I paid attention to women always. I've been having girlfriends and stuff through my whole life since the starting of the before school and stuff. But since starting school since third grade, I've been fighting since the 10th grade. People always want to fight me, come after me and stuff, and I bring this smoke and I defend myself. But there ain't a lot of people around here to see my displays of fighting. So I'm an alpha to the biggest part of it. But going through these life experiences, instead of making and molding myself to a sigma. And well, I don't know. I feel I'm a sigma too, as to a lot of things, because I don't go along with the whole rule of things. But I'm a beta to the person, the guy who tends to females. I know that the fact this there's twice as more females as men out there, and we have lesser guys. These women are trying to rule the world and control. So I do the form of what each go through, and I tend to girls, and so which kind of makes me look beta-ish. But to this whole thing, these women always try to take advantage of it. I'm not a guy that's like to take advantage. I don't like to be taken advantage of. Period. And I do for people a lot, but there's always a limit for me. I'm not a beta where it feels like no limit to it. There's limit. I'm gonna give you a mouth. I'm not gonna sit here and just take things. I might do things for you, but there's always a limit. I'm giving you hell back. So that's not something that some normal betas do. They don't give you a mouth. They just sit right there and stuff and take it. And maybe a bitch like little girls or something. I get confused with bitch like girls and stuff like that. But until we fit fresher fit things, I've seen a lot of things. You just don't take things and stuff, which a lot of bitches want to confuse as being a bitch, because they want to see you stepping back up to them, which they should never be stepping to you anyway. They clash horns with you like goats, male goats. And so they confuse you clash horns with them. They call you a bitch because you clash horns when in reality they're becoming a goat instead of sheep. So they step up to your plate. And so they say, "Oh, you bitch," because they think you seem the same things as them, which they are being the same thing as you, but they're being a more dominant feature and becoming themselves as a male. So you have yourself argue with the female because you're an alpha and you don't take that shit, and you end up like a beta because this alpha females argue with you, and then after a while you figure out, hey, it's not nothing to it. It's not to argue with, so we walk away. You ain't gain anything, and as alpha, you know that. But by then, the damage has been done. You look like a beta inside of another alpha female's eyes and stuff. So it's hard to try to catch your image back from that stuff like that. So my thing is the alpha male is the person who gets the females, who draws the females to you, and naturally in climbing, I've always been an athletic guy and a buff guy. I've never been a fat guy. I can't gain weight to save my fucking life. I'm trying to. I'm getting to these things, but I'm also sick because I don't go with a lot of things that people do. I'm almost a gamma because I'm a life of the party and stuff. I always get things going and stuff. So I'm not a omega. I don't think about myself Monica Cedar or what else qualities you build omega persons takes stuff away from a party and stuff and become basically terminal. Basically shooting himself in the foot to get the women who's there like him are not really there for the party, but they're just to probably find a mate or just to be there, to add to their status and stuff like that. I'm not nor a delta. I'm not very commonist to where I am. I'm very unique to everything I do. So I'm a lot similar to the 4 other qualities and stuff like that, and of a male. You choose yourself to be more of a sigma and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much all the way a sigma. I don't. I can be social when I want to, but I'm not really big social. Like just throw myself into a party now. I like to read a room. I can manipulate any situation to be what I want it to be, but it's just a lot of problem with me is first that social awkwardness. I got to get over that right at the start. Big crowds and me, we don't get along very well. I like my solitude. I like being away from a lot of people. I don't have a lot of friends. The friends I do have, I can count on one hand. And I keep it that way because those are the only people I trust enough with my actual life. That's literally because I have a lot of acquaintances. The people I work with, people I talk to, my neighbors, they're all acquaintances, and we're all on friendly terms. But my actual friends, I can count on one hand.
So let me ask this question. Being that said, do you feel you completely fit there in the sigma male, or is that the thing you choose, or do you feel like this whole alpha, this whole male hierarchy traits are what's it, and they're actually describing every male to a T, or do you feel that you're kind of similar to you choose to be a sigma male, that's what you choose to be there, but even though you probably at times display other traits of other different types of male hierarchy types.
Every man has at least one personality trait of every type. Okay, every man has that, regardless of what their core personality trait is. Okay, every man has something somewhere. Okay. When we talk about archetypes, it's basically your most dominant area is sigma, or your most dominant area is alpha mentality. Your most dominant mentality is sigma mentality. These are your most dominant, the things that most dominantly define you. Okay. I was growing up as an only child. When you grow up as an only child, you have to get over this mentality that the world revolves around you, because when you're growing up, you don't have any siblings to have that um, empathetic relationship with. You know, when you're growing up like that, you don't have that, and so um, only children can develop many different ways depending on how their parents end up raising them. The way I ended up being raised was very self-sufficient. Both of my parents worked, you know, so I'm having to cook for myself, I'm having to clean for myself, I'm having to do all this for myself. So the one of the main identity traits of a sigma is self-sufficiency. Okay, more so than the others. Like a beta, they're willing to do everything for someone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas an alpha prefers that people to do stuff for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sigmas just do the stuff because it's just they're used to doing it. You know, they're used to doing their own laundry, they're used to cooking their own meals, they're used to doing stuff that makes their life easier in the long run. You know, you see a lot of sigmas with certain routines, and those routines, like I take out the trash at this time, I clean the dishes at this time, you know, I do the laundry this time. One of the traits of a sigma, mentally wise, is usually sigmas have above average intelligence. They have above average intelligence. Um, they possibly at one point ended up in a special ed class because of the problems with social interaction. Sigmas tend to think much more logically, whereas alphas use their emotions a lot. Alphas use their emotions a lot. They're in touch with a lot of their emotions, and they're in touch with a lot of their emotional side, whereas sigmas are much more in touch with their logical side.
So you bring up about a point right there. So a lot of people think that alphas are non-emotional creatures that they
No,
still
that's a
cut
fallacy.
through and stuff like that. Which I agree with you. I think alphas
A
are
desire,
people
okay, a
who
desire
feel
for
that they're
attention.
not
A
there.
desire for attention. Desire is an emotion.
Yes.
Okay. Alphas desire attention, therefore they are an emotional person. Okay.
They're very aggressive.
Aggression is an emotion. You know, whereas sigmas,
Some very aggressive guys.
sigmas are very analytical. They're very analytical. Okay.
I think alpha. Explore more than alpha about the emotional things. Like alphas are very conceited.
Yeah.
Very emotional things.
They can be. They can be very conceited. They can be very selfish.
And
not all alphas are like that, but many of the alphas are like that.
Attention seekers.
Attention seekers, yeah.
They
they try to make themselves the life of the party.
So to me, like, people always confuse alpha being the guy who's like, don't care about chicks that's down, chicks left and right, like they're like, I don't know shit.
Not necessarily.
But it's more like, just like, like me, you don't like me, fine then, I'm better than you anyways and stuff, and they get all pissed off. They're not the most attractive, or they don't come off as the most. Then they tend to act cool because their emotions, and then when they're not perceived as cool, their emotions go even more wild, and they just put on this front like they're just the bees.
Alphas tend to get in pissing contests with other alphas a lot. That's the best way to describe it. They tend to get in pissing contests with other alphas a lot.
Alright, so comparative, with the alpha and the delta, do you think there's a lot of difference between the alpha and the delta? Or do you think there's a lot of
there is a huge
smoking mirrors into the
no, there's a huge gap between alpha and delta. There is a huge gap. Alphas, so generally alphas are in that 7, 8, 9, 10 ranking. So most of the time society ranks us from a 1 to 10 scale, right?
So are you saying that alphas tend to just be the most attractive guys, and that's in. Like you can't
Not
find
not
an attractive guy who's very overly emotional or acts common or
not all the
sticks
time.
out from the group.
Not all the
or
time. Most people who are genuinely attractive don't think that they're genuinely attractive. Okay.
Like I said, I told you before that I get a lot of people's numbers all the time and stuff, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And I'm a type of person who don't, tend to try to stick out into the group. I'm a person, I act like a sigma. I kind of diverse myself out from these different types of.
Yeah, but getting a number isn't not being an alpha. It's just like it's a eventuality caused by a causality.
But don't alphas tend to
Even
draw
even a beta can get a number.
Draw the magnetism to them. Tend to be more athletic to them, and they're actually they said that it's not the alpha that always draws. Is the fact that they have we have shout out to Fresh and Fit. We watch a lot of that podcast and stuff like that, and they have told us that there are these anomalies. I feel like I'm not these anomalies. So right there into that purpose, it kind of tells us that the whole alpha sigma male hierarchy is bullshit. And it does serve a society because I'm not a Drake. I'm not none of these high end type of guys inside. So why would I be able to draw more in chicks and get? I'm not the tallest dude, so I'm not a basketball player.
No. It's
so
not necessarily.
I'm not the most muscular person, and so I'm not sticking out like the big bold alpha.
No, you're not the big swole, Arnold Schwarzenegger alpha.
I am confident. I can tell you that. I'm pretty damn confident.
But everybody's got their own personal style. Everybody's got their own, indicators, that grab attention. So, you can have alpha style and not necessarily be the normal alpha. Just, clothes that make you stand out will, they'll go a lot to just attracting attention, it's kind of like how the male peacock, it displays its feathers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bigger the spread, the more attractive it looks to the female, right? So, or the gorillas, like the one who beats his chest the loudest, doesn't always gets its attention, right? Sometimes it's the one who has the shinier coat. Sometimes it's the one who has, the more resources.
So in saying that, how is one able to distinguish any of these male hierarchy types when there's so much other traits that are involved into these things that doesn't even really, because would you agree to say that these type of traits are always evolved around how a male carries himself outwards, not necessarily how is he perceived inwards?
Okay, I'm gonna actually bring this into science. Okay, people with alpha mentalities, their brains give off different chemicals. Okay, people with go-getter mentalities, this kind of stuff, proactive mentalities, their chemicals run differently. They give off different pheromones. Those pheromones are attractive. Okay?
Alright.
At the end of the day, we have pheromones in our scent glands and our sweat glands and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on your mentality, depends on what pheromones are released. So omegas, they give off this "don't touch me" mentality, right? And people stay away from them a lot. It's if you ever walk by a person, like say you walk by a woman and suddenly you just feel this urge to talk to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
It may not have been just because you were looking at her. It may have been just the pheromones she was giving off are attractive to your pheromones.
All right. So we already discussed that these male hierarchies might not be the right to the
You're not going to see a lot of
discovery
outside
of
indicators in everyday life, is what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is everyday life. Like if you're going to work, you're not necessarily going to see it. You might see it, like you'll see the alpha who talks to all the chicks, right? Okay, he's the guy at work and he's just known for talking to all the chicks. Or you have that guy who's just constantly looking for that next supervisor position. That's an alpha. Now, Sigmas also look for those supervisor positions, so don't get it twisted. It's a Sigma will approach it in a different fashion though. Whereas an alpha will be like super charismatic and this and that about trying to do it. Or he may just be that aggressive go-getter type and real forceful about what he wants. Sigmas tend to smooth their way through things.
So are you gonna say that in society that's why we always go back to the alpha and the betas, because out there we're not really looking for the other hierarchies and stuff. We're just looking for the alpha and the betas, and then if we'll throughout all of it we'll kind of decide if we'll kind of find out if we have actually a delta or a gamma or a mega male. But out there, since the what people are mainly looking for is the deltas and the alphas, that's what we're gonna mainly have out there. But people is going to when you peel back the wrapper, you're gonna find these deltas, these gammas, these sigmas.
Most people just associate alphas and betas because you either have the people who get stuff or the people who don't get stuff. They just get stuff after everybody else has had it. So with alphas, they're the ones who they go get stuff. You know, they're usually those go getter personalities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go get the female, go get the attention, go get the better pay, whatever, right? Anything that brings them attention is something they're encouraged to go after. And a lot of our society, like these captains of industry and all this, they're perceived as alpha males, right? But these captains of industry may not necessarily have the stereotypical alpha mentality. More often than not, the captains of industry, the bosses of the bosses, they're not necessarily even alphas. They're sigmas who worked their way through it. Anybody like a Warren Buffett, if you looked at Warren Buffett, he was just an average looking guy, right? Jeff Bezos, perfect example. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, right? He looks at the guy drives a Honda for crying out loud, okay? Just average looking guy. Now, economically, he's an alpha, right? But mentally wise, he's a sigma. He's not trying to get his name in the paper every 5 seconds. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas most alphas, they try to get their name in the paper every 5 seconds. They got this me, I mentality, and that's why a lot of alphas are seen as narcissistic, self-centered, this kind of stuff. It works for a while until it gets unattractive. Mm-hmm. And that's why you have these women who date these alphas, and then they get tired of it, it becomes toxic, and they end up going for this beta. Because the beta is doing everything the alpha wasn't doing to them. But it's still a one-sided relationship either way. At first, they were the bad end of the one-sided relationship. Then they go to the beta, and the beta's at the bad end of the one-sided relationship because the woman with the alpha originally, she's giving all the attention to him, right? Mm-hmm. But he's not giving it all back to her, right?
So yeah,
and then she goes to the beta. What happens? The beta gives her all the attention, and she's not giving it all back.
Every bit of. Alright, so that's the thing with this excuse me. I read about the mega male is a person type, but I have a girlfriend and he's the one that's sitting at the house. and not having a job, getting paid and eating all this stuff like that, allowing shit to come to him and not putting in.
Omega sounds.
But
I mean, they are kind of a deadbeat.
that's what I get from Omega.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of times neither one's selfish. Selfishness is up to they give a fuck about themselves, don't give a fuck about the woman. But the alpha is a person who's like, you know, I gotta be out there. I'm about to be leading and doing stuff all the time and have you in line and you following after me. The delta is like, you know, I'm following after you. Tell me where to go. I mean, that's beta is the one that said, I'm following after you. Tell me where to go. You know, I'm on your ass and stuff, and you know, I need to go on. Well, Delta would be like, you know, I got this job at McDonald's. I'm getting this job at McDonald's. If you want to do something more, cool, I'm with it. But until then, I got this job at McDonald's. Whatever.
Yeah,
Big Gamma would be like, fuck all that stuff. I'm just wilding out, partying like our boy John. You know, living to party.
I don't know if he's still that much of a party.
No, he's not like that anymore.
But he was a party boy.
A 9 to 5 and stuff now.
Yeah, he's actually very stable.
The Gamma would be the person who he kind of finds his way and living himself from party to party. Yeah. And the Sigma would be like, you can't tell me from an Alpha to Omega, but I'm out here doing these jobs that they did. You don't see me doing these alphas normally don't get into when I have a girl, she doesn't see me a lot. I'm doing my thing and doing my thing. When I come home, I handle my thing. You know, I give her attention and stuff, just enough attention. Then I give myself attention. I just try to make it balanced as possible because I'm trying to really just do my own thing and just go back to what I want to do.
So, I mean, really, alphas are the extroverts. Sigmas are the introverted alphas. Omegas are just the guy who's given up. Yeah, he.
So Omegas?
Omegas.
Omega,
the Omega, they're
giving up. They just laid back.
They just gave it up, pretty much. Deltas are just whatever happens. They're just kind of the schmooze guy. Gammas, of course, they're the party boy. And then Betas always leave the bar broke. But,
so that you called yourself, would you agree that these hierarchies are not something that a woman could put you into?
Society puts you into an imaginary hierarchy.
So,
but there's a reason for that. Humans are tribalistic in nature. Okay, no matter what amount of so-called civilization we have, we're still tribalistic. Okay. Companies, they have a chieftain, they have the chieftain supervisors or the elders, right? And then they have everybody else, right?
All right.
So at the core, humans create a tribal hierarchy. The alphas at the top, the betas are the drones at the bottom,
just followers.
Yeah, and everybody in between is just following the alpha's crew. Except the Sigma. The reason the Sigma and the Alpha can get along without clashing is because they're personality opposites.
Sigma is willing to follow the male Alpha, and the Alpha is willing to keep along there as long as he does his own thing. But after the Sigma gets what he wants, he's walking away from the whole thing and stuff like that.
And more than likely,
with all his gains, and why the Alpha just is right there. He takes a bunch of losses.
The Sigma calculates more than normal. Everything's a calculation. It's a risk to reward factor for the Sigma because an introverted personality, every time you approach something or someone, it's a risk to your personal self as an introvert. So every time I approach someone to talk to them or whatever, I'm taking that risk that they won't receive me well. And I'm weighing in my mind. I'm weighing uh, what's safe to talk about, what gauges their interest. And I'm paying attention to the whole conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm looking. A lot of it happens with my security work, right? When I approach somebody dealing in security, you're coming in calm, right? You're not wanting to agitate. They get agitated, you make a firm stance. You don't get loud, but you make a firm stance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the whole time I'm watching their body language. I'm watching their eye flicking, their eye movements. I'm looking to see if their pupils are dilated. I'm looking to see where their hands are in their pockets or not. I'm looking to see if they've got a knife on them. I'm looking to see if they got a gun strapped to them. All this stuff is going on in my head while I'm doing this whole conversation.
All right. So I read and found out that a sigma is kind of like the evolved version of an alpha. So it's saying that these hierarchies in males are not a permanent thing. You can switch from this typical a beta transforms to alpha, but alpha never transforms to beta, or maybe can or something. My whole thing was I don't believe in all thing, but I'm like maybe these things can transform depending on what level you're on, what mind depth you're on to, because I feel that when an alpha male gets tired and he just really wants to, let's say I be alpha male like myself,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you just said that the hierarchy traits is formed by society, but what really is that? Society's not a person, not one thing and stuff. You're not always around society. For Sigma is not going to be around society, or Omega is not going to be around society. It might be around these party things that would concern an individual, but people act different in different ways and stuff like that, depending on the situation, somewhat and stuff like that. Ergo, I would say if an alpha wants to, really now he's not in this playboy mentality. He really wants a kid now. Will an alpha down to a beta and say, I'm gonna tell him this macho-ness. I'm trying to get me a girl. I'm trying to have me a kid now and have me a beta, so I'm gonna soften up. I'm gonna become more, passionate and stuff like that. Or would it to be a thing like it's only up from an alpha to sigma? Also, a gamma is sometimes like a evolved form of an alpha as well.
I wouldn't call it an evolved form.
You can say as a gamma as a party boy and stuff like that, but
it's the party alpha. Let's just put it that way, the party alpha. So Sigma's not necessarily an evolved alpha. They're an alpha without a huge ego. So one of the characteristics of an alpha is this massive ego, right? Mm-hmm. Sigmas have that ego, but it's tempered with humility. They understand that they may be the best at what they do, but there's things they can learn from other places to make themselves better. Mm-hmm. Alphas a lot of times an alpha personality will fall into this you can't teach me nothing kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. They'll fall into this you can't teach me nothing mentality. Whereas a Sigma will temper his ego with humility and realize he'll sit down with the old timer at the bench and see what that guy has to say to improve his life. The alpha won't necessarily take somebody else's advice to improve his life.
He'll all figured out. And just
he'll strive his own way. He may wing it and succeed, but at the end of the day, the alpha might make a lot more mistakes throughout his life than the sigma, because the sigma is taking a calculated approach to life versus the alpha who's just gung ho. You know,
just doing things above a macho emotion.
Yeah,
a macho emotion of it.
Alphas are very gung ho, whereas sigmas, they'll calculate their way through life.
Well, Omega takes itself out of the equation.
Omega takes itself out of the
Gamma
equation.
wants to even think about the whole thing.
He's not even thinking about the future.
He's just fucking around.
He's just fucking
and
around.
the beta would be just passive to the whole thing. He would be getting pushed to somebody else's guideline, female guidelines, and not really march his own.
I mean, he'll go out.
All right, and that
he'll never take the lead position. A beta will never take the leader position. He may think he's in the leader position because the female will tell him he's in the leader position, right? Mm-hmm. But he won't necessarily take the lead. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference between being told you're the leader and actually being the leader. Mm-hmm. All right. So.
Alright, well, in this whole conversation, y'all, we're about to wrap this thing up and stuff. We've been talking for a while and stuff. We don't make it too long. But I hope I have a whole generalization of what we've been saying. Like, to put in things, we don't believe that these whole things exist, but we do believe that as a society, we can make these things exist and make these things a relatively common thing to look at and to calculate at to find your best pick of your male and stuff like that. We associate the alpha and the beta commonality that's put out there and forced out there because the fact that most people don't go venture outside those things at first. People just want to find out what's the alpha and the beta, and they figure out what's the omega, the gamma, and the delta and the sigmas after a while, but they most not gonna figure out. So do you think that people get gammas and omegas confused with alphas and stuff like that, since we're all mostly going by alpha and omega society?
Oftentimes an omega can be viewed as an alpha just because of the fact that he's just not going to take anybody's shit.
Yeah, conceited and stuff like that, which seems macho.
He just doesn't take anything from anybody, which makes him very combative.
Which might seems macho.
Which seems macho, but being combative is not the same as having machismo. Mm-hmm. You know.
That like women confuse that.
Yeah.
It's
being like
female out.
Combative is not the same as bravery, which is a key factor of an alpha.
And a delta might be confused as a beta because he goes along
because
with the flow,
he's more passive aggressive.
He just have no goals set along with them and stuff.
He may have goals, but they're always like they're nothing exceptional. You know, it's not going to be like, oh, I want to own my own company at the end of it when I'm 50. You know.
So would you say that the sigmas and the gammas are in the middle of it, or because of the fact that the gammas he's a party boy, so he might be depressed by the party or so excited he don't know what's going on.
The gamma's going to eventually burn out. So the gamma is going to eventually burn out. Okay, you can't be a party boy until you're 50.
What 9 times